Alright, hello. Man, I'm trying to do this video. I've done it like 5 or 6 times and it's not going very well. I'm trying again now, okay? And I'm trying to do this really quickly because I don't have time to sit up all night waffling on for 3 or 4 hours, which is what I'm doing right now. But anyway, we're going to talk about this Charlie Kirkovic thing here, okay? And how this connects to Ripple XRP, okay? Now, of course, recently we've done several little bits and pieces to do with basketball, how Kobe Bryant ties back in with Back to the Future via a film called Teen Wolf, okay? And what we've been talking about is this crash of silver, yeah, the silver bullet that has to take down the Federal Reserve, the dollar bill, okay? That currency is done for, okay? And so this is what we're looking at, is this great reset, which is really just the removal of the dollar, okay, to put in something else. Now, how does this fit into a film called Sneakers? Well, several months ago, Decoding with Cody did a decode. That was, when Robert Redford died, to do with a film called Sneakers, and I believe he was probably linking it back to Charlie Kirk. I can't even remember now. And in that film, there was also a reference to XRP, which connects to Ripple XRP, which is a cryptocurrency. Okay, so this is very interesting with this idea of cryptography and a code that's embedded within something and breaking that code, right? And again, I don't know. Anyway, the crypt. Anyway, what I want to do is show you in the film. I just watched the film, not a very good version of it. It was a pirated version. But I have a scene up here that's in the film, and this is the scene that Decoding with Cody showed, I think, in his old decode, and he just recently mentioned it again in a recent video. Again, I haven't seen all of every part of those videos, so I don't know what he completely covered in those things. And I've also had several people mention Ripple XRP in their comments on the channel as well. So thank you to those people as well, because this is why this is on my radar right now. Anyway, in the film, this scene right here, No More Secrets, which is the title of this video, they are code breaking, and they finally get to this scene where the computer is, they've got a little gadget that is code breaking, and so this is the cryptography in here. Cryptography, is that the right word? Is broken, okay, is decoded. And at this point, they make a comment about crashing the Federal Reserve. And in this scene is XRP 262 and XRP, Ripple XRP. Again, there was some connections I can't remember, probably release dates, probably number jumps, and so forth and so on. Anyway, we're going to also do a bit of code breaking here, because at the start of this scene as well, we've got Robert Redford deciphering, doing some anagrams, so code breaking again. Okay, and so this is what got me thinking about maybe there is something in Ripple XRP that is coded into that word, right? So we're going to go to the JL reverse alphabet code. Okay, so if you've seen Jurassic Liar's channel before, Garrow, JL, whatever you want to call him, has this decode where he has the alphabet out forwards and then reversed underneath, and then he just takes the letters of a word and uses the underneath reversed alphabet to get a whole bunch of new letters. And his standard decode there, I don't know if he's done this for any other words, but his standard decode is Elvis, which comes out to hover. And of course, Back to the Future 2 is all about sort of breaking out of the temple, breaking out of the dam where we're trapped. And that dam is the Hoover Dam. So Back to the Future 2 is all about the Hoover breaking out of the Hoover Dam, hence all the water in the lake in front of the clock tower. Okay, and it's a repeat of 9/11, the first part of Back to the Future, where we see the skateboards with the twin towers attached to them. Marty breaks one of the towers down, okay, when he takes the skateboard. Yada yada yada. So what we're looking at is a repeat event to do with that. It's just interesting that JL has the Elvis connection with hover there, okay, and the hoverboard scene. Now we're going to use that same technique that JL uses to decode Ripple XRP, and it's going to be extremely interesting because it's going to take us back to Charlie Kirk. So let's go over to that now. So I've just called this JL's reverse alphabet code, and you can see we've just got the alphabet running one way, and then we've just got it running the other way. And if you recall, I actually did a decode several months ago on Ozzy Osbourne's death, because that's also in Back to the Future on the number plate with the yellow Honda as Marty and Jennifer are walking across the clock square right at the start of Back to the Future before the woman comes up, save the clock tower. You see that Honda there has words and numbers on it. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that now, but look, just for example, I'll show you what Ozzy is in here, okay? So if we take O, okay, that gives us an L, right? So then we want to take a Z twice, which is an A twice, yeah? So we put an A down, put another A down, and then we need the Y, okay? So that spells out Ozzy, and that's a B. So this is our reverse alphabet code for Ozzy, right? And it's lab, or if you reverse that again, just read it backwards, it's bull or bail. Yeah? So very interesting with the name Ozzy and the Prince of Darkness or whatever, and this. Yeah, does that make sense? That's pretty cool, isn't it? Anyway, let's show you this. So let's do this other thing here, right? So let's get rid of that crud. Anyway, that decodes somewhere in the back catalogue. Anyway, if we put Ripple XRP in, this is what it comes out to. Okay? Right here in the light blue. Which is actually, then I decided, well, I'm going to anagram that, and it was pretty obvious straight away that Kirk is right at the start of this. All you have to do is move that K over, yeah? And you've got Kirko, kick, okay? And just another simple maneuver here, okay? And you've got Kirkovic, spelt with a K though, okay? But this is absolutely mental. Kirkovic, spelt with a K instead of the H that's in this. Let's go back to this now and I'll show you. In this picture here of Charlie Kirk playing basketball, right? Kirkovic with a H. So I guess he grew up with some Serbs and played on some kind of a Serbian basketball team in Chicago. And so he got the nickname Charlie Kirkovic, right? This is a mural painted in Serbia of all places for him, okay? Look at the number 7. Yes, this is the temple. This is what Charlie Kirk's connected to. Yeah, the Kirk, the church is the temple. The temple of Diana, Charles and Diana. In the Back to the Future 2 scene, Charles and Diana are referenced in that scene, yeah, in the hoverboard scene. Diana's referenced in the newspaper as well. It's just absolutely off the charts insane, right? Anyway, you'll notice that in the gematria, I think I've got it up here, XRP is 134. Note that 134 is the time when Marty gets back. Also, Robert Redford in that film is Marty, okay, or Martin. in the actual Sneakers film, so that's pretty mental as well. But when Marty gets back from his 1955 jump and he's running down to save Doc, and as he gets there, the clock is on 1:33. It changes to 1:34, I think, right when Doc gets shot. Okay, so this is really interesting with the crash of Silver again, because Doc represents the metaphysical. And then, of course, Doc is resurrected because he has a bulletproof vest on. We've got Charlie Kirk's death date in here as well. And, of course, Ripple XRP, because it's a reversal of Kirkovic. You know, that is just the reversed of that. Yeah? Follow? Okay, and I've got the other variations in here as well, just for interest. I don't know if there's anything interesting to anybody there, but sometimes it's nice to see that. So anyway, Sneakers actually came out on 9/11, and of course everybody that's in here has a loaded birthday. We've got the 126 showing up. Okay, the 26 has been showing up a ton, I believe. Decoding with Cody had a bunch of 26 reference stuff. Yeah. So half of 26, 13, yada yada yada, you know. And 2 13s equaling 26, and 213 is the big day we're looking at for the Hoover Dam. What I was going to say, oh, Dan Aykroyd, he also has, he's in the film, and he also has the July the 1st birthday as well, the same as Diana, Princess Diana. Okay, not the same year, but same day of the year. So anyway, and what was got the Robert Redford thing when we had his death. Okay, I don't know what else to say other than what where I want to go with this right now. So we've got that out of the way. Kirkovic, this random thing with Charlie Kirk being on a basketball team, the connection back with Kobe Bryant and the 823, all that stuff, and the release of Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox in it, and the idea of crashing the dollar, destroying the Federal Reserve, which is the werewolf, and it's actually tonight is the full moon as well, and I'm still on the lookout for stuff to happen with Madonna tonight, and maybe for the next, all the way up till Super Bowl, really. If she goes, I reckon we know it's on. But like always, I've done decodes before where we've had big hotspot dates and nothing really happened. Although actually the last really big hotspot date was the 1st of September that I was looking at, and then Charlie Kirk croaked on the 10th of September. So I mean, again, interesting with Catherine O'Hara croaking like one day before, the 31st, which we was looking at for Madonna as well. It's just kind of like, I thought that might throw the kibosh on it a little bit for Madonna, but that's happened a few times. We've been looking at dates for Madonna, and then we have a female significant-ish, actress or musician die, just right around that date. So it's, again, I mean, interesting, isn't it? Anyway, I want to do some number jumps here because it doesn't end with just this connection. Yeah, the number 7 there, the white eagle, the dove from above, the number 7 with that is the temple number, if you like. Okay, number 17 or the number 7, right? Anyway, this is the first number. This is Charlie Kirk's birthday. Okay, so let's just get to Charlie Kirk for a second so we can just have a look. Right. Charlie Kirk's birthday, and we're also going to look at remember he was, what was he? He was 31 years, was it 331 days old? Something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, we're going to look at some stuff with, again, the 13, yeah, the 1-3 numerology. Because, of course, that's what we were looking at for Madonna on the 31st. The train crashing again. with the 131. And again, right around this time, actually, the train crashes in Back to the Future. I think it's the 7th of September, 1885. I think it's the 7th of September. So, I mean, you know, again, right around the sort of same September time frame. Anyway, I will just mention this. River Phoenix is in there. Remember I was just saying about the 823 with Teen Wolf and Kobe? Yeah, and he's got that, and he's also got the 131 death date. I haven't run any numbers for him, but I'm sure I actually might have run a number for him to the 13th that was interesting. I can't remember though off the top of my head. But anyway, let us. I've kind of lost my train of thought here now. Let us look at these number jumps, right? So, Charlie Kirk, his birthday, through to the 1st, right? Because again, we were looking at Madonna for the 31st and the 1st. If we go one more day, he's at 118. Now remember, 118, let's go back to this chart so I can show you. Because, I mean, there's some interesting stuff with this, actually. 118 is the center of our chart here. This is actually the center point right here, okay? And we can draw the clock tower in, the Charlie Kirk, yeah? It goes in like that, right? And the face of the clock tower is right here, and this is the doorway, and the 55 is the lightning strike that comes down and hits the top of the clock tower, and then it goes down the wire, goes through 911 here, and over to the side of the street. And again, we've got a ton of 5-1 references at the minute. Mayday, Drake May, and a lot of 5-1 stuff, right? And in fact, there's some 5-1 stuff going to come up in this in just a second. We've got the image of the fire trails making the pi symbol here. Okay, so there's the numbers for pi, and we've got the pi symbol in the fire trail with the, you know, the wire coming across, which is the end of the line, and we were just talking about this in a couple of decodes back. And this is the date that we're really looking at for the end of the line. And then in Back to the Future, when that makes that sign, that 0 there really should be a 9. Okay, and there's our fire trail 11 here, so there's our 911 right here as well. Okay, and it's right here. Anyway, getting sidetracked there. The point of it is that when we remove all this, okay, the point of it, what is the point of it, Dan? The point of it is Charlie Kirk's birthday is wrapped up with that number 14, yeah, born on the 14th, 10/14, and it's also Prince Charles's birthday right here. So let me put this back in just a second, right? So, and the temple itself is the Temple of Diana. Yeah, it's the church, okay? So let me show you this. Get rid of that again. So let's go to, I've got some pictures up here so you can see. You know, the Temple of Diana, yeah? Right? This sort of Greek temple, or Greek Romanesque temple now, as the Romans took on all that architecture as well. This is the clock tower in Back to the Future. Interestingly, this is when Marty first gets back to 1955 here as the 8:30, 8:31 maybe, when he walks out in the street and almost gets run over again. I think, or he picks up the newspaper. Anyway, whatever, but Diana's death referenced in here as well. So, what else to say? Let me show you some more of these number jumps, right? So, this is Charlie Kirk to the 2nd, and also what you'll notice about 118 in the chart of Lorraine, if I actually put in, let me show you something. So if I put in the chart with the missing row in it, okay, which is this 4 row that just appeared in here in purple, you'll note that 118 is also a cross-reference with 49, okay, and this is where we're having Super Bowl 60 this year. Super Bowl 60 is going to be where? At the 49ers Stadium, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, okay, Clara Clayton. Santa Clara, Sarah Clayton. Clara Clayton. Goodness me. Okay, so 118. 118 is the middle of this thing, yeah? And he is going to be, yeah, 118 on, well, either the first, no, not the first, into the first into the second, okay? And also, let's look at this. Because if we go from his birthday to the 13th now, this is our big date for the Hoover Dam, Friday the 13th. Yeah, Fry ends. He'll be 11811. Palindromic. Very nice. Okay. But it doesn't end there. Right? Again, this is the date for Turning Point. Yeah, remember that organization, Turning Point? Charlie Kirk started. Remember, in Back to the Future, I showed you that decode. This is the badge that Marty wears, okay, on his denim jacket. Yeah, Turning Point. The Turning Point. 5th of June 2012 through to 2/13. Look at this. 5001. Okay, 5001. Again, 105 days from 9/11 to Christmas. The rebirth, if you like. And what's interesting about this as being Turning Point, let's put a mirror in here. Okay, now let's write out what that is in the mirror. Okay, 2001. Turning Point, yeah? Turning Point. Oh, yeah, that is mental. Okay, especially with all the 5-1 stuff, the May Day stuff, yeah? The 1st of May, 5-1. And that, you know, I could spend hours talking about it, but that all ties back into, it actually ties back into all the 1st of September stuff I was looking at earlier on in the year as well, okay? What else we got here, Dan? 9/11, I don't know why I had that one in there. That was 9/11 through to Turning Point. I'm not really actually sure why I had that in there. Okay, forget that. This is what I wanted. Actually, that is interesting. That's kind of a flip around of, if you look at that, 3, 9, and 2, it's kind of a jumbled version of 3, 2, 6. Anyway, this is Charlie Kirk's wedding to Erica, because it's all about the wedding, through to Turning Point as well. Or, well, yeah, Turning Point but through to the wedding. That's going backwards there. 3260 days. 3260 days. 326. Now, who is going to be 326 on the White Wedding Day that's coming up? The White Wedding Day is the day after Super Bowl, okay? So, let me show you. This is Diana, again. Charles and Diana. Diana is the Kirk, the church, the temple, okay? This is the day after Super Bowl, right? She's going to be turning the death day into the white wedding again, the fresh start, okay? The reset. 23600 days. 236, yeah, matches with Charlie Kirk's wedding, okay? Now remember, the white wedding that Charles and Diana had was on 7/29. Why is that important? Why 7/29? Okay, let's get rid of this other. Hang on, let's just go to make it a little bit more easy to look at. 7/29. When you combine the 11 and 18 together, add them together, it equals 29. If you reduce these individually, 11 is 2, 18 is 9. Both ways you get 29, yeah? 7/29, this is the 7 column. This is why the Tower 7 went down on 9/11, yeah? Tower 7 is the mirror between these two things. These are mirrors of one another, the metaphysical and the physical. The twins, yeah? That's why they looked pretty much identical, apart from what? A spire and an O, a hole and a phallic symbolism, yeah? Because this represents physical mankind, and this represents the metaphysical. And those two things have to be balanced, yeah? Right here, in order for us to be, I don't know, happy in life, fulfilled. I don't know. Anyway, so 2-9 is the white wedding day, yeah? 229 represents the wedding. It's, I mean, what we're going to say, it's really interesting connecting up numbers and bits and bobs and everything else, but if you've got to have, we've got to try and get some kind of meaning from what those, there's got to be some kind of meaning to those numbers rather than just saying, well, that number matches up with kill in gematria, so it's just a kill number, blah blah. I mean, it matches up. Gematria. This is the problem with I have with gematria is it's really interesting to see how words match up with one another, but you can't just lump everything in one, under one word, if you like, and everything that's a 38 equals this, or everything that's a 33 equals this. Okay, that's my gripe about gematria. I think there's a lot to gematria, but I think a lot of the time people just lump it, and I don't like that so much. Anyway, what else have I got here? Madonna's song "Who's That Girl," released June 23rd. I actually managed to find it on here. Yeah, the original release date was June 23rd. Yeah, and this is where it gets into like the personal references for me. She wears this random grey suit in this film, in the music video, which is copied into kind of comically in Billy Idol's White Wedding music video. And this for me as well, where she's wearing this grey suit with this hat. My grandfather used to wear that. I have vivid memories of him wearing that same suit, and for people that don't watch the channel, his birthday, 6/23. Picture random poster of Madonna on his office wall. And again, if you've not watched the channel before and you've not heard me talk about this, he's what you call a showman, right? So he's in America referred to as a carny, which is not really a wonderful reference, but a fairground person, right? And so he had a ride, the Dodgems, okay, which is the bumper cars in America. The Dodgems are what? A car that picks up electricity from above. Yeah? If you look at the DeLorean and compare it with a Dodgem car, that's probably about as close as you can get to a fairground ride that would describe the DeLorean. Yeah? On his desk, grey Dodgem car, yeah, a reference to the DeLorean in my mind. Okay. And there's several other references to the to the fairground and to the carnival and all this stuff and tons of things. So anyway, but I just wanted to mention that because it's that you also have to, when you're decoding, you've got to look at your own personal references with things as well. Yeah, this is not just a whole bunch of people in a dark room all sat around smoking trying to decide, well, what date are we going to do this and what date are we going to do that. There's probably a lot of that going on, but what there's also a lot of going on is organic synchronicities, right? That are put there. That can only be put there by God, right? That I don't know how else to say it. So, when you start, as if you're an evil person, yeah, and you say, well, we're going to do this, evil magic. All we have to do is a few bits and bobs here and there, and when people start looking at this, they're going to think we're doing everything. You've got to realize that it's not just a whole bunch of bad people doing this. There's also a background code that just is everywhere. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. Oh dear. Anyway, that's my rant on decoding, I suppose. But again, it's like this decode what I just showed you now. This whole thing with sneakers, right? Like, that is, stuff coming into my vision, stuff that's being shown to me. I don't know if it's shown to me, but just ideas that are just popping in that I can, I think, oh, I'll go look at that. And so you get a decode out of it, sort of thing, right? I mean, I hadn't even seen this before I even looked at that, And then you anagram something and it says Kirkovic, and you look up Kirkovic, and then this comes up like it's actually something, And so you start looking at Charlie Kirk again, and the numbers are well interesting for this thing, for this chart. That is not a bunch of flipping people in a dark, smoky room. That's coming via the highest high. Not through blooming bad people. Anyway, although some of it does come through bad people because, of course, they put their stuff into the world as well. So But whatever. Anyway, that doesn't make any sense, I don't think. But I think I've done everything on here. I felt like there was another. Oh, here's another number jump. Charlie Kirk's death. Now remember, 9/11 is our 155 jump, yeah, which is again to do with the clock tower, right? So there's our 155 that makes the lightning down into the top of the to the top of the clock tower. Oh, and I've got one other thing to show you in here as well in just a second, right? Anyway, that's our 155 in the dollar bill as well, right? But when you go from the 10th, you've got this number, and I'm sure everybody knows what this is. It's 156. Yeah, 156, the 119th composite, and also the 156 prime number is 9/11 as well. So it's a super duper connected number there. Let me show you this other thing before I forget. So XRP, just to change the subject completely now. Get rid of this crud. Okay, XRP has a logo, right, which is like this, right? Now, I can't remember what Decoding with Cody's link was with Ripple XRP and Catherine O'Hara, who just died from Home Alone. But anyway, when that happened, silver went to $86. Okay, that was the drop to $86. Notice this as well. Okay, and notice that the lightning bolt delivers 1.21 gigawatts. Yeah, the lightning bolt that's right here. Yeah, and silver went to 121. Okay, somewhere here, and then dropped to 86. Yeah, is it going to drop again? I kind of wondering if it will drop again over the course of the next week. It might just hover. That would be an interesting concept for it to hover around like the hoverboard. And then it would be really interesting if it dropped to $17 an ounce to reference the temple. That would be super duper interesting. That would be a big drop. I mean, the last drop was a big drop, but that would be getting back to, this is when I started buying silver, $14, $15, $16, $17 an ounce. Anyway, let me show you something here, right? So in the film, they're anagramming stuff with Scrabble tiles, right? And so if you do ripple, and let me write it in. Sorry about the writing. I'm trying to write with the mouse here. X R P. Very good X. Let me show you. If you take the value that is on a Scrabble tile for the corresponding letter, let me show you the numbers that come out. Okay, so this would be 1 1 3 3 1 1 8 1 3. Now, if you look at those numbers there, what you're going to see is that in the smiley face part of Ripple XRP, you're going to see these numbers showing up. Yeah, 13 at the end of here, the 8, that's all right there, and then 11 and 33 is on this side. Yeah, the only thing that's really missing is the number 18. Okay, you kind of have it though with this again here. So what I'm saying is that the numbers that are in here are running through that logo. Again, it's this logo, yeah. It's the upward arrow and the downward arrow. Okay, the physical and the metaphysical. Okay. Anyway, that's the. I think I had the. Where did I thought I had the logo for XRP in here. I don't know where the hell it went. I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I want to show you that's absolutely mental as well, but it's not happened tonight. Yes, XRP. See it? Right. Does that make sense now? The logo right here. Okay. I guess I should have put a ledger in as well, seeing what that was. Anyway, I'm going. Thanks for watching. Night. Night.